Geordi's visor is a remarkable piece of bioelectronic engineering. All lawyers were killed in the mid-21st century, and Lieutenant O'Brien thinks Farpoint Station sounds like a fairly dull place. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc, Lofton, and Denise Crosby.
Hey.
Yeah, great to be here.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today, we are starting our giant journey into the next generation with Season 1, Episode 1, Encounter at Farpoint, written by, this is amazing, Gene Roddenberry and D.C. Fontana, directed by Corey Allen. This was September 28th, 1987, or September 26th, 1987, depending on where you get your sources. And this entire first season is sponsored by our good friend, Mr. Timothy Baum, Grandpa One. Special thanks to you, Tim. How you guys doing?
We're so good.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
We're approaching Christmas, so it's a joyful pause in the madness to enough time to just enjoy this beautiful Southern California weather. Sorry, guys in the Midwest. Don't mean to rub it in, but I know you're under a polar bomb or whatever they're calling it. Sorry. Hope you're safe.
And
well, first I want to welcome you, Denise, because I'm really looking forward to going over Star Trek: The Next Generation with you and getting to learn all the characters and the work that you did. It's going to be a pleasure. So
the pleasure is all mine. I'm so good. I'm so glad you guys brought me in, invited me in to walk this journey with you. I mean, because for me, it's again, I have not looked at any of this in 35 years.
Which is the coolest thing ever. I'm so excited about that. Cirroc has never seen The Next Generation. Denise, you have not watched this in 35 years. Myself, I grew up on this. It's kind of like my first love. But I haven't seen, I don't think, any Next Generation in at least a decade or two. And some of these episodes, I haven't seen them since they were first in syndication in the mid or late 90s. And I feel like they're going to be some of these episodes that I have no memory of whatsoever, and they'll be brand new to me. But Denise, this is your first time revisiting them, and I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, it's
what was the feeling like in the beginning when you guys are first doing this pilot episode? What was the feeling amongst you guys? Were you already kind of expecting a long road in this Star Trek journey, like, oh, this is going to be at least 5, 6, 7 years? Or was this like, okay, what's right in front of me? Was there nervousness?
There wasn't. It was all such a mystery, We certainly didn't anticipate 6 or 7 years or whatever it went, for sure. It was kind of a mixed bag of is this even working? I mean, is this like, what in the hell are we doing here?
Right.
What is this thing? Of course, we had all seen the original Star Trek. I didn't watch it in the 60s. I was a little too young when it first came on, but when it went, into syndication, it just ruled the airwaves. 5 o'clock became a ritual every night, to watch the original Star Trek. So we all knew what Star Trek was. Some certainly had more love for the show than others, but it was really it was interesting, because we're on the Paramount lot, but we're kind of these sort of redheaded stepchildren, on the lot. We're not really. We don't have the cachet of Cheers, who was shooting on the lot as well. We're kind of like this weird anomaly that nobody quite understood, except that, you had Gene Roddenberry anchoring, who had a legacy and had, some cred. But as far as what this made for syndication television series from a show that had been on 25 years ago and was constantly being canceled, and grew its strength from the fans. What this looked like in terms of the industry, or it was this legit almost. It was very surreal. It wasn't like any other TV series I had guested on at that point. Mm-hmm. I'd never been a regular on a series by then at that point. So this was my first, series regular gig. And everybody was, coming from different places, very, very diverse backgrounds, the cast. And, it was we just kind of said, we're going along for the ride. We don't know where this is going, but let's just, we got each other's backs, we that's all, we only had each other cast wise. The first year was very rough with writers and producers and getting its grip, getting its footing.
Yeah.
So was there someone that kind of had your back from the get-go that like really stood out? Was it like Gene Roddenberry? Was it an AD? Was it one of your fellow actors? Was there somebody that just kind of like stood out on that first day or that first episode? Was it Livingston, the lionfish in Picard's office?
I think, I think we all knew that we had to communicate with each other, because we just weren't sure what was going on behind the scenes. The first season, we did do something that I noticed went away when I came back in subsequent seasons. And that was, we would do a table read with each new script during lunch, which I think is an amazing thing. I've done it on many other series. But lunch would be brought into a conference room. We would all sit there and we would go page by page. Gene was always there and welcomed questions, input. What does this mean? There's just so many questions like, well, what is this thing? And why did it do that? And what do we need to do for here? And it was really helpful. And it kind of grounded us in this world a little bit that we were creating out of fantasy. So that was really helpful. I don't know why they abandoned that. When I came back in the third season in Yesterday's Enterprise, which, kind of going off book here, but they were no longer doing that. And it was like, I don't know.
Where were the lunches? Where were these? Like just at the cafeteria or?
Some room in the that wasn't being used in the writers' building on the Paramount lot. Big conference table. Sandwiches were brought in or something, and we just sat there with our script. Page 1. Anyone? Page 2. Anyone? Yeah, I have something. Cool. Yeah. It wasn't even like, as a matter of fact, table reads generally are done where you start. You read the script. We didn't read the script out loud. We were just like, anybody on page 2 have anything? Well, yeah, Gene, what is this thing? If she beams down and wants to eat a plant, why is it? Why can't she eat the red one? I mean, like things like that. It wasn't we were doing the script.
Interesting.
One thing I noticed right away, I felt like the characters were already, or the actors had a good understanding of the characters. So it felt like even in the beginning, Brent Spider's portrayal of Data is pretty accurate to how he's going to maintain it over the course of what I understand him to be as Data, or all the characters. For example, Captain Picard is pretty much taking the helm right away, and you can
Troy definitely
right.
Worf is still the same guy.
Right, every one of them are kind of pretty much right in the beginning. You see them as they end up becoming over the time. They don't really stray too far off of the personality traits that you see in this first episode. And I just wonder where everyone gets such a strong grasp of the characters so early on.
That's such an interesting thing that you say, because in watching it last night, I felt like you're just dropped into this already ongoing ship. There's no sense of how each one of these characters are there.
No establishing anything, background, anything.
No.
Yeah.
And
get right into it.
And it's not, they've not been long on this mission because they don't have Riker yet.
Right.
They don't have their first officer yet. So it's like, this is fresh. And this is, I'm assuming, you assume that these people are at the top of their class, to be assigned this mission under this captain. Each one of those people. And I almost wished there was a better telling of that, more of a sense of, why would Tasha Yar, of all the people in the academy, be the one chosen? And it doesn't have to be an elaboration, but you want to get a sense of where these people are in line with where they're at this time. And I didn't get a sense of that, or timing, like how long they've been together. And so in sort of relation to what you were saying, I think we were dropped in as you see it. We're like dropped into this show, and we're like, I'm doing all the work back home. I'm trying to figure out who is this character, because you're not seeing it on screen. So I've got to show up with, some cohesive person.
Well, we got a sense of it right away. Yeah. I thought that, and I agree with you, Cirroc. Like, I put in my notes, like, how immediately we see how every character fits into the story and what makes them different. Every character is introduced with a special superpower, right? Where we understand why they are so valuable and what they bring to the table and what they're good at. Tasha Yar kicks some padded up Marine and knocks him out super quick and easy. Troy feels emotions. Data is, mechanical. We get it immediately. And I was actually really impressed, like what Cirroc is saying, I was really impressed not just with the writing of how well everybody was introduced so quickly and for us to understand and be able to grasp it, but the actors portraying it immediately. We get who these people are. And I got to be honest, when I was midway through this episode, I was getting so pumped. I mean, like Data's padded fake bosom pumped. I was
I
was just so excited.
What is that in his chest? I love the set. I wanted you to talk a little bit about the walking in, because this is the 80s, and the set that you're on, pretty much, nobody has this kind of like set at the time, and it's so elaborate, so beautiful. It's just I noticed the detail on the chairs, and they kind of reclined a little bit too much for my estimation if you're going to be in a starship, but they were these laid back chairs.
I think they changed them in the second or third season, if I remember correctly.
That's funny. I had the comment when Data was at his station, and there was like an ensign was at filling in at his station, and just how casual he was, like this,
it's like he was in a low rider driving a 64 Impala.
I even said, look, I even wrote a note. I was scribbling stuff. I went casual. Casual.
Wake up, ensign.
Way too casual, dude, to be flying this thing, because
for real.
We're like,
I was thinking the same thing.
Q has set up the, chain link fence around the universe, and then I'm like going, he's like, oh, yeah. All right, Captain.
Not only that, but I was thinking how uncomplimentary it is to the body, to the form and shape of your body. You know, if you sit like that, your stomach pops up. You don't really, you can't suck
your
your
fake
gut in.
padded bosom. That's how I noticed Data's immediately.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on here? Get this fake bosom out of the poor guy.
Yeah, because so it's not even complimentary to your posture and your body. You know, you would expect somebody to be sitting up and at attention as opposed to, you know, like you just had a few beers.
One would think. Now you'll see with me, you know, because I stand the entire 7 years or whatever.
Smart
at the ready.
What happens is you'll see me working that, you know, horseshoe, that console, and hitting these buttons. And as the series progresses, I'll be hitting one button because I think Michael Okuda, the great designer of all this stuff, in the most gentlest whisper aside, came to me one day and said, I think, you know, by then you'll only need to push one button. Only one button will need to
make it
pushed
count
in that century, you know, because I'm like working the console, you know.
like a DJ,
like you know, DJ. Electric light orchestra. You know, I'm playing a synthesizer up there on the bridge.
Love it.
Yeah, I did notice the chair. I was like, these chairs are way too comfortable. There's no way Starfleet's approving those laid back chairs. But right away, another thing that jumped out from the beginning, the music, just like I have to say, grabs your attention and places you also in the space. That opening credit music, and it was from Dennis McCarthy,
extended. Did you notice how it was extended to give us all these extra credits? And I wonder if that was just the first episode. I think it was.
It's very. I noticed the music as well, and it is fully orchestrated. I mean, it is big. It's epic. It's like cinematic.
Yes.
Under this, it's
absolutely.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't remember if this is what we're in for, or if
it wasn't just the opening credits, so it came back around throughout the episode.
The episode, it is heavily orchestrated, you know, like a Steven Spielberg, you know, movie kind of thing. It's big,
and it really was great. Dennis McCarthy is he hits home runs. He's amazing.
Yeah.
A little teaser. A little teaser towards the end of our show. We're gonna have a new little segment that Cirroc just teased.
A little bit, yeah.
But yeah, the music actually, to me, it felt cinematic. It felt movie quality, but it also, in a lot of ways, and the tone and the theme and the scoring and the storytelling reminded me more of the original series of Star Trek than it reminded me of later iterations of Star Trek, even more so than season 7 of Next Generation. Season 1, this first episode felt more like the original series than it did of season 7 of Next Generation. And it's because Gene Roddenberry wrote this. He probably had his hand in every single thing, I would assume, Denise, where it very clearly feels like a Gene Roddenberry production, and DC Fontana.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Ryan. He loved what worked in the original series, and he wanted more of that for us. So a lot of the people working, certainly Bill Tice, who did our costumes, he was on the original. Gene felt very safe and comfortable with people he liked to work with before. So he wanted to sort of just replicate that as much as he could and felt comfortable with that. So there were a number of people like that.
And just real quick, speaking of that, there were some other names I recognized in the credits. There was Michael Okuda, of course. I saw Mr. Tice, Rick Sternbach. The UPM was David Livingston, who we know just kind of trailblazed throughout 15 years of Star Trek. Did you notice Cirroc and Michael Westmore doing makeup?
Oh my
the,
God.
The assistant director of that episode, Cirroc, was Les Landau.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't see that.
Les. Yeah.
The ever-present Les Landau. I want to give you some credit, Denise, because I wasn't familiar with your performance as Lieutenant Yar. So this is my first introduction, really, to you as an actor, and I was blown away by several of the scenes that you did, and I want to credit you for them. The first one was when you kind of spoke out of turn or out of line, and Picard, he's like, well, why don't you explain that to me, or something to that effect, like, tell me why you think that's the way. And clearly it was not. But he was very gentle with you in that moment, but you were so good in your response, because you did a moment, you paused, you collected yourself, and you did what I wish people would do, like, in the world more often. And that is to say, I spoke before I thought, sir. And just acknowledge that, I think that was out of place. And I thought the way you did that, and the way you delivered that moment was excellent. I was just like, wow, that's really fantastic.
It was like the big performance of the episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm. And then you also had later on another big performance, was the speech that you gave when Q was doing the whole judgment court thing, and you contested and called it, this so-called court, when you had
down
the fight
on its
scene.
Knees.
Yeah. And I thought that was another great delivery by you, Denise. So I just want to credit you for your performance in this episode. Was just excellent.
Oh, you're so dear. Thank you so much. Those are the moments that you look for to clue you in on who this character is, And I was always looking for moments of either vulnerability or inappropriateness, or just human, folly, because what I was weary of was that these characters are too perfect. They're too idealized, and when you start to dig through Tasha's backstory, that she was an orphan. She was orphaned. She survived rape gangs on a hostile Earth colony. Oh. She survived. That informs who this woman is. So those moments of impulsiveness with her is what is how she is as a woman, is really her character. So she's constantly in check with that, with herself, because now she's in a very high position of authority, and she can't fly off the cuff. So that as an actor is the stuff that is wonderful conflict to play. And now you've got something to hang your hat on,
Oh, that's
and
really
I felt
cool.
that. I did feel that in that scene. I felt like there was like I have all of this emotion, and I kind of let it go unchecked. I didn't put my regulators on, and I spoke before I thought. Basically, I reacted too quickly, and I'm glad that you had that moment, because obviously he has a lot of faith and trust in his crew and the people that he represents. I think that was expressed during the Riker scene, when he kind of goes through the whole. So you were trying to save your captain, number one,
kind of grills him.
It kind of grills him. And I enjoyed that scene, though, because it means that the people that he's surrounding himself with as captain are people that he knows that he can trust for certain things and go to for certain things. And I felt like the thing that he can go from you was that kind of honesty, but also the humility, where it's like, I'm not trying to override you, but I am a strong, passionate person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. one of the best scenes that I ever had on the show, unfortunately, was never filmed.
What? Wait, you know what? We're going to take a break
that's
real
a good
quick.
one.
This is perfect. Gotta hear this. And by the way, Denise, if you were looking for inappropriateness in characters, you're going to love the next few episodes.
Oh God, I know.
Yeah.
We're getting good. It's wonderful. So many I don't remember. I remember
a trip down memory lane.
Even in Encounter at Farpoint, I remember the court scene with Q, but I don't remember when we were in those tunnels.
Yeah.
I watched with my son.
I didn't remember that either when I just watched it again.
They're like looking at me going, "Mom, do you remember filming that?" Not even, not a little bit. Wow. Not even nothing. I got nothing.
All right. Well, let's take a very quick break. And there's going to be a ton of stuff. You're probably going to remember like some and not others. I mean, I already forgot stuff and I didn't even act in this thing. So I can only imagine. All right, here we go. We'll be right back on Seventh Rule.